You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
We're all Americans. That's the first thing that unites us. Nothing else unites us than the American identity. And that's what we need to hold on to.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has signed a bill that mandates the inclusion of Asian American and Pacific Islander history in states' K through 12 curriculum. The General Education Bill, which includes other new requirements in the sector, will specifically require the teaching of the incarceration of the Japanese Americans during World War II, the quote, migration, citizenship, civil rights, identity, and culture of Asian American and Pacific Islanders, and the group contributions to American society. Tuesday's signing makes Florida the first Republican led state to pass such a law. Mimi Chan, director of Make Us Visible Florida, the local chapter of a nonprofit that pushes for the inclusion of Asian American and Pacific Islander studies in public schools, led the effort for 2 years to make it happen. Quote, it took a lot of work and determination to get this passed. Asian American history is American history. Chan stated their organization will be monitoring its development. High school student Jake Leaf, who is part Chinese, stated he did not learn a lot about his culture growing up. While he may not be in class anymore when the lessons begin, he is thrilled for future generations. Quote, I'm excited for people like my sister and people like that to just learn more about Asian culture and have that experience that I wasn't really able to fully get. So it'll be really cool that they're able to experience that. While DeSantis has advanced Asian American Pacific Islander representation with the passing of this bill, the Florida governor has also banned Chinese citizens from buying land in separate legislation. An exception is reserved for Chinese visa holders who may own one home as long as they are registered with the state's agency.
Please be patient with me because there's so much here. I think the quick answer is that Asian Americans are given white privilege, especially the Asian Americans who fit the model minority stereotype. The quid pro quo for receiving that privilege is upholding white supremacy culture, which means being anti-Black.
Here comes a new challenger!
So let's just remember that a lot of people like to say that, oh, we're all American and yada, 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 right? So this is what DeSantis did when it came to critical race theory, right? Florida's legislature had passed what supporters have called the Stop Woke Act, a bill intended to limit how workplaces and classrooms around the state handle discussions surrounding critical race theory. One of Florida's governors, Ron DeSantis' key legislative efforts against race education, called the Stop Woke Act, has been given the green light after a federal judge declined to block it before it takes effect on July 1st. The law, which easily moved through the GOP controlled legislature, would ban lessons and training on race and diversity in schools and in the workplace. It was one of many nationwide attacks on education in schools under the guise of critical race theory. Critical race theory is a discipline often taught in graduate schools and higher education that seeks to understand how racism has shaped the United States laws and how those laws have continued to impact the lives of non white people, according to the scholars of the theory. Supporters of the Stop Woke Act state that critical race theory is discriminatory and that people should not be taught that some races or sexes are inherently oppressed or privileged. Woke stands for wrongs to our kids and employees.
Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country.
Now, let's just remember that they stated that they were going to talk about the contributions that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders also contributed to when it came to the United States, everything that they gave from, food to, language, possibly, clothing and maybe some inventions and different things of that nature, right? And the other thing that they said that they were going to teach the incarceration of the Japanese Americans in World War II. They should also be teaching about how it is that they took capture of Chinese citizens as well. Matter of fact, this also brings me back to a video that I had posted some years ago when it dealt with this very subject. So I wonder if they're going to teach this, right? The overthrow of Hawaiian Kingdom was a coup d'etat against Queen Lili Ukalani, which took place on January 17th of 1893 on the island of Oahu and led by the Committee of Safety composed by 7 foreign residents and 6 Hawaiian Kingdom subjects of American descent in Honolulu. The committee prevailed upon American Minister John L. Stevenson to call in the United States Marines to protect the national interest of the United States of America. The insurgents established the Republic of Hawaii, but their ultimate goal was the annexation of the islands to the United States, which occurred in 1898. The 1993 apology resolution by the United States Congress concedes that the overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii occurred with the active participation of agents and citizens of the United States, and the Native Hawaiian people never directly relinquished to the United States their claims to their inherent sovereignty as a people over their national lands, either through the Kingdom of Hawaii or through a plebiscite or referendum. Again, I'm just further showcasing the history, right, of the United States. Again, this is something that me myself I found out years, decades later, that this is something that the United States did. Back in the history books that I had, both in middle school and high school, this was not something that was covered. The United States government might have done this at one point in time, but this isn't something that they're going to consistently put out there to let people know, like, hey, we were wrong, and we're acknowledging. Whenever we get a chance to, we're acknowledging how wrong we are, and we're showcasing the facts and what it is that took place. We tried to take somebody's land wrongfully. We tried to do everything possible, and we successfully did that, right? And this is why they are a part of us. Now, if you go back and look further into Hawaii, they tried at one point in time to have a partnership, in a sense you could consider it a marriage, in between Hawaii in Japan so that Hawaii can get some type of form of protections against the United States, because they knew what it is that they were going to try to do. And this was by way during that time of Lord Kamehameha the first, right? They were going to marry their kids. Hawaii had their princess 5, and Japan had their prince, who was, I think, 13, at the time, and they were going to try to get that together. Japan was like, nah, we're a little bit too afraid to do that because we're not really trying to have any issues with the United States. And again, this is how you have Hawaii as it stands at this moment in time. And I also want to point out the fact that within the Asian community, there is a lot of issues with people who are darker complected. If you look up Lord Kamehameha the first, you will see that he is a heavily melanated man, along with some of the original people that were there at that moment in time, heavily melanated, right? And you, like I said, it's a very interesting read if you happen to want to go through it and learn more about it. I did a video covering Hawaii and the things that they went through, and how the United States government got a hold of Hawaii about, some years ago on the original channel. But again, I just wanted to bring this up for people who don't know, also for people who are Dragon Ball Z fans. Lord Kamehameha, the reason that you got the Kamehameha is due to the fact that Akira Toriyama took the name right from the king, and he put it as the standard, strongest, most powerful move in Goku's arsenal. And in order to show some type of, respect and things of that nature, which I found to be pretty dope. But again, I'm just showcasing the fact that it's funny that when it comes to everybody else, It's fine to teach their history and what it is that went on and how wrong that the United States is and was and currently is at this moment in time. But when it comes to Black people, we can't even get simple things taught. They try to change the meaning of slavery. They try to change the meaning of how it is that Europeans came over and took this land from the indigenous melanated people and so on and so on and so on. So, like I said, just you know, just pay attention, right? Just pay attention to all the things that are taking place.